Oh, okay. This one's gonna be a little bit different for a few reasons, but mainly because I just watched. How do I start this? I used to watch a lot of video game essays. Back in the day, a few years back, and I really enjoyed watching like let's talk about the deconstructive. Let's deconstruct the narrative behind this game and why it's so good and the symbolism and the themes, right, and all that stuff. And as time has gone on, I've sort of had enough of that. Um, I I think I got a little tired of all of the blank is a masterclass in subtext, in storytelling, in horror, right? The blank is a masterclass. This game is a masterpiece, right? I think I got a little tired of that sometimes. Not that there's any no hate or shame against anyone who talks about those sort of things. I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm happy that people are enthusiastic about the things that they love, always. But as time has gone on, I've found myself watching less and less of those videos that are deep dives into narratives or structure or like this game is so good at all of this stuff or whatever. And I found myself really liking games and channels, or sorry, videos and channels that people make about games that explore a more personal, subjective, intimate side of things. The thing that prompted me to start doing this on my own, like these videos, is for one thing is I just wanted a sort of journal that I could like verbalize my thoughts. That was really the biggest thing. But another thing was that it's kind of fun to just talk about your own subjective experience with a game or with games that you like or you don't like and stuff like that. But there are three channels in particular that have really changed, sort of altered my approach to video games of late, and how I play them and how I appreciate them and enjoy them for the better. For the better, I think they've altered it for the better. The first of which, or the three channels are, and I'll put links to them, of course. Annie Austin, Bisley channel, and Daryl Talks Games. Now, Annie Austin, the thing is if you watch any video essays, video game stuff, then you probably know who these three people are. Certainly Annie Austin, he's blown up in the last year. I'm very proud of him. He's done a wonderful job of making a stuff that I just continually love to watch. Every time I'm so impressed by the effort, care, and perspective that is offered in each one of his videos. But if you're not familiar with Annie Austin, his videos often delve into the mundane things, the things that make up a video game that perhaps are easily overlooked, be it odd or unusual places or locations or vibes or feelings or the unemployment rate in Skyrim or go watch his channel. I don't want to talk for too long about that, but I want to talk about my experience with watching his videos and the rest of these wonderful channels and how they've sort of affected me and changed how I play games a bit. For Annie Austin, he just put out a video like 2 days ago or whatever about the best nightclubs, or his favorite nightclubs, I should say, in video games. And there were a few things that I found rather poignant in that, and that was the video that prompted me to make this, to share my own thoughts. There were a couple things that I just saw and I just loved. One thing was, I have made it known that I have a hard time with the game Starfield. And as I was just thinking, after I made my most recent video on Starfield, where I was just kind of like ranting about my issues with it, I found myself feeling kind of like bad afterwards. Not guilty, I wasn't like, oh man, I'm crapping all over this game. It was more like I was like, did I give that game the fair shake? Did I go in with biases that really messed with my perspective of that experience? And then I watched Annie Austin's video, and it's sort of on nightclubs, and he talks about the nightclub in Starfield, and I think it's easy at a glance because we're comparative creatures. We like to compare things. It's a great way to compartmentalize and to organize our thoughts. This is better than this. This is similar to this, and so I was looking at the Hitman nightclub, which is astounding, and I'm so glad that Annie Austin talked about that, because holy moly, wow, that is a feat of game design. or the nightclub or the nightclubs in Cyberpunk, and I think it's easy at a glance to be like dismissive of Starfield's nightclubs because they feel a little odd and the atmosphere is a little strange or it's unusual. But that was something that Annie Austin praised, and that sort of like put a little like it like I don't know like a what's the word I'm looking for. It was like it was like a pebble in my shoe. I couldn't get it out of that thought that he had expressed about how much he enjoyed the atmosphere of Starfield, and I thought. I was like, why is that affecting me so much? Why is that affecting my thought process here so much? And I've sort of been kicking myself since I watched that video because I really don't think that I have been meeting games where they're at. I think it's so easy for me, and I really want to express this is all my own thoughts. I'm not trying to tell you what to do or anyone what to do, but for me, I am so easily subjected to my own biases that are informed either by news or other people's reviews or my own expectations, which is probably the most aggressive bias that I have, or my own expectations of something, that oftentimes I do not think I meet a game where it is, and I expect it to be something else, and it's not that. And when it's not that, I'm disappointed as a whole. And I don't think that's fair a lot of the time to the game. When I boot up Starfield, is it really fair of me to expect Cyberpunk or anything else other than Starfield? And even beyond that, beyond whether or not you like something or expect something and are disappointed, what I love about Annie Austin's videos, and that video in particular, my mustache is doing goofy things right now, whatever. What I love about that video, about what he said is, and that really stuck with me the most, is it was appreciating what is there in such a warm way. I cannot describe it in any other way than warm, and with a great deal of love for this thing that exists, and the handiwork that went into it, and the craftsmanship, and the effort by the developers. And I was touched by that in a strange way. Like genuinely, it moved me. I was moved by it, and it just made me thinking, and this isn't the first time that these videos have affected and changed the way I play games. Ever since I started watching Annie Austin, I don't know how long ago I started watching it, or watching his channel, but ever since I started, I slow down when I play games so much more. The funny thing is, I hate game optimization. I do not like doing game optimization, and yet I fall into the pitfall of game optimization so often. Quick, fast, let's do it right. And then afterwards, afterwards I beat a game or experience, and I'm left feeling hollow. And I'm like, why do I feel this way? And it's like, obviously it's because I skipped through it. People play games differently, and there's no accounting for that. But for me, I do find that it's funny because my natural inclination is to optimize, but my natural appreciation is something far slower. And I want to lean into that. And sometimes it's hard to do that, but good. At least for me. And so Annie Austin's videos have kind of changed how I view things, and have really encouraged me to take my time to enjoy what is given to me and appreciate the work and effort that's been put into it. And I like games more. I've enjoyed games more, games that I perhaps before would have dismissed or found a bit more disappointing. And it's not like I'm perfect, obviously. There's still a great deal of games that I struggle with, and I'm not like expecting to come out of this with some like love of every game ever. I think it's fine to dislike things or to not enjoy things. That's fine. But what the key takeaway that I've gotten from seeing Annie Austin's that was the dog with his squeaky toy. But the key takeaway that I've gotten from Annie Austin's videos is just what a unique perspective that I had not considered. And a perspective that I perhaps want to utilize. I think sometimes the opinion of someone whose perspective you trust, or maybe just the opinion of someone whose perspective you find interesting, can really open up how you view things that perhaps you didn't enjoy. And that is my biggest takeaway of Annie Austin's videos. And I just love it. I just wanted, I do not expect anyone to to see this. Certainly not, but I am grateful. And I really want to use this as an opportunity to, dude, my nose is so itchy right now. I think just allergy season's been something fierce for me. I want to take this opportunity to recommend to anyone who, for whatever reason, you haven't watched any of these 3 channels. There's 3 different things, but I love them, so I recommend them. Okay, the next channel that I really like and I want to talk about was, as I already said, was Bisley. Is it Bisley or Bisley channel? Hold up, this is gonna drive me crazy. Bisley. It is Bisley channel. Okay, I'm not crazy. So, what I love about Bisley channel and Bisley, and I've been aware of him for a long time because I used to watch Just Roll With It, which is a very fun D&D podcast. The only reason I don't now is I'm just far too busy to. I'm too busy. But I am I'm a sucker. I've always been a sucker for atmosphere and immersion. Those are like my favorite things in general. Like, nothing makes me happier than getting sucked into something completely and totally. And even just without the topic of what he talks about, like video game stuff, the way that he presents his videos with his green screen work is so delightful. I think sometimes there can be there's cat hair in my mouth. There's so many things that make me itchy in this place. Something that impresses me, or something I think there sometimes is a penchant for when someone puts in a lot of effort into something, especially something that some people view as silly. Well, it can be viewed as silly. Sometimes when people will they'll see something with a lot of care and effort put into it, something that perhaps they would be dismissive of, and then they view that as silly or unnecessary, and often I it's funny because you sometimes you hear praise for someone who puts a lot of effort in, and then sometimes at the same time you hear a lot of praise for someone who puts no effort in. If my videos are on this side of the spectrum of low effort, because I literally just sit here and I talk, I don't even have a script or anything. Sometimes I'll have talking points, if that. Most of the time it's just off the top of my head. Then if I'm over here, then Bisley channel is all the way over here, right? The effort that he puts into his videos, visually at least, it is I'm so impressed by, and that does a lot just from a viewing standpoint. The matching the lighting that he does, matching lighting so that he's putting himself in the game, it's crazy. It's this is hard work, guys. This is not easy stuff to do. I'm extremely impressed by it. That's just surface level, right? That's just that from a video standpoint, I am appreciative of that. But also, that my biggest takeaway is that I love how he's just so excited. There's this palpable joy that comes from playing games that this guy shows off. Even if I disagree with his opinion on something, even though I tried Star Wars Outlaws and I didn't like it, and he likes it a lot, and I cannot help but just love it. I cannot help but just enjoy how much Bisley likes playing games, and it makes me happy. It really does. And it's funny because while Annie Austin is on, his deep dives into the most obscure things, what I love about Bisley channel is it's these deep dives into stuff that chances are you've probably maybe heard of, whether it's oh, let's just talk about this game, or this subplot, or this side story. I don't think it's low effort. I don't think it's low hanging fruit or easy content. I'm not trying to compare the two. I love how accessible it is, but it's so warm and exciting to listen to. It's like listening to a friend talk about a game that they know that they love, and I find it to be just endlessly charming, really, really just delightful. I can't help but feel a similar degree of excitement, and it's just it takes me back to a kind of an older time of the internet, of YouTube, when people would make those videos about I remember 10 years ago at least, watching all of the things about the darkest side quest and whatever, and then break it down, and it's been a decade since then, and to see people still making videos about those things in unique and fun ways, it's just like all I can get from this is just pure unbridled appreciation for games, and that is so refreshing in a world and in a social bubble where things are often so degrading and disparaging or demeaning, especially when people talk about games that they like and dislike. I find it to be so wonderfully positive and optimistic, and I love it. It makes me happy. It fills my heart with joy to see someone gush about something that they love. I love it. It really, I mean, I said it already, but it really does feel like hearing a friend talk about why they like something, and I think that's awesome. So I super recommend going to check out Bisley as well, because he puts in a lot of effort, and it feels so casual in its delivery, despite how much effort is put into it. And there's a warmth there. It really does. It takes me back in a very good way, and it has made me appreciate just games in general. Just overall, it's just like because there is that much love in the world for these games, I also feel that love. It's passed on to me, right? Okay. The last channel is kind of different from the other two, because it's, of the three, it's the most video game essayist, right? Or essay like. It's the most like a video game essay of, of like narrative and structure and all these things. But the thing about Daryl Talks Games that I love is ultimately that, while he talks about themes and psychology and narrative structure and all that stuff, he almost always focuses on his own feelings and experiences. Plus, I just love his views and like the way he sees and analyzes things, and I find his perspectives endlessly fascinating. And I love all of his videos. They're super well edited. They have a very good flow. Very easy to get sucked into like a 40-minute, hour-long video and be strung along the whole way and enjoy the whole thing. But if Annie Austin's videos make me appreciate the small things in games, the hard work that devs put in, and the vibe of unique places, and in general just appreciate things. And Bisley channel makes me excited about games. It gives me that like fire to yeah, I love games, they're so good. Then Daryl Talks Games is, to quote him, it's when video games make you go, man, it's when it's like the three of those things are like the things that I love about games the most. It's the little details, the love of the whole thing, and then the sucker punch, the slap in the face moments of gaming that stick with me, right? And that's what Daryl Talks Games does so well. I love Daryl's approach to games. He just loves games. It's so clear to see him talk about stuff, and he talks about the most obscure games too, which I love. Well, not like super obscure, but like games that I've never played, and references things that I'm just continually impressed by. And I have gotten like probably the most video game recommendations from him, more than any other YouTube channel, because he just presents things in such a way that I'm like, oh, I have to check that out. I have to see what that's about. I want to experience this myself. I love his videos. I love his videos. He explores very human emotions when it comes to games, and that's delightful. That is ultimately what makes me stick around for games, is the very human side of things. I've always been a narrative game person. My favorite games are narrative games. It's very clear to anyone who knows me or has seen my past videos. That's what I love the most, and he obviously loves that too. Most often what his videos are about are some sort of themes or narratives or psychology of a certain emotion or feeling, and I love it. I can't get enough of it, and I'm very grateful for these awesome channels that do these things. Where was I going to go next to this? I just love how is it clear that I don't script these things? Something about Daryl Talks Games that I also particularly enjoy. What was it? I'm totally. I had something and it's It's gone. It's gone. It is gone and forgotten. That's okay. I just love these channels. I really cannot recommend them enough. Like, if you are trying to find some new enjoyment in games, if you find yourself feeling that they are a bit stale or uninteresting, or you breeze through them in such a way that you don't feel like you really enjoy them, watch these 3 channels. Give them a shot. Like, especially, like, they showcase so much about what makes games so good and what makes video games so special and unique, from the huge grand scale to the tiniest little detail. And I love it. I cannot recommend them enough. And I'm sure there are other channels. I don't watch a ton of YouTube. I've actually been trying to watch less and less, which is funny because I make silly little videos here now, but I've been trying to watch less and less, especially as I try and be more particular with how I spend my time, and especially with game stuff. And but I cannot recommend these 3 guys enough. They are such gems, such a delight to watch each of them. I just watched what was the most recent Daryl Talks game videos? I think it had to do with like mother. It was like mothers and where is it? Yeah, he talked about when his most recent was When Horror Mocks Your Humanity, came out 2 weeks ago, but he talks a lot about like, when horror and how it relates often to like how horror and birth and motherhood and all these things are like tied together in a really cool way. Just, I love his videos. I love his backlog video games, or his videos. I love his deep dives into I don't know, he does such a good job of talking about how narratives and gameplay like go together really well. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna call it there for now because I have things I have to do. I have to go to work soon. Yeah, I've got things to do, but I cannot express enough how much I am appreciative of these guys and the work that they put into their videos, and just how much they bring to the scene. It's a delight. It makes me very happy, and I can't recommend them enough. If you got some time, put on one of their videos, any Austin Bisley channel or Daryl Talks games. I want to enjoy games, and these guys help me do that. They really have like just changed the way that I see things and approach things and appreciate things. And I'm hungry. I'm gonna go eat breakfast. I'm hungry. So yeah. Okay. Bye. Love you.